Hello, everyone. From the title, you already know what I'm going to be talking about. I thought about giving Life is Strange a massive score, but I wanted to actually talk about the game. If you haven't played Life is Strange, I highly recommend it. I never thought I would say that, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But I highly recommend you play it. Don't watch this if you haven't played it unless you don't care about spoilers. Um, it was on sale on PS4, so I bought it for like $9 or something. And I've never been a fan of these story driven games like The Walking Dead and The Walking Dead 2 and The Walking Dead Michonne and all those other stories games like that are so heavily story driven that because you can tell the writing's so good, I guess, if you're into those properties in the first place, that your decisions don't matter that much. All of your decisions matter in the first Walking Dead. Like I played all the way through it. Your decisions matter, but they don't matter that much. Like things end up happening anyway. Um and it's no different with Life is Strange. Most of the decisions you make, they end up, converging at one point anyway, with the same thing happening that would have happened if you would have picked the other decision or picked the other choice. But I've never played a game. I don't think a game has ever made me cry. Now, I didn't like start bawling or something, but I got to the point at one point in the game where I was doing that thing where you're tearing up really bad to where you have to like take your glasses off and try to wipe the tears off your face. But you're also laughing. So it's like not really crying, just kind of like laughing, crying, because like there were several emotional things that happened. There was even some emotional stuff that happened at the beginning, but since I didn't know the characters, like it didn't hit me yet. But as I got into it, I was really invested in the characters, so like I reacted more emotionally to things that happened. And there's other games that I've played that aren't even necessarily really story driven that give you sort of a choice, like, okay, you get to kill one of these two people, or you get to do something, you get to go left or right, or something like that. I've never played a game that it came up and it said, okay, you have to choose between these two things, and I had to pause and put my PS4 on rest mode, or I don't know what it's called. I just know that I go all the way to the right and press X twice and it goes to sleep or whatever. But I've never played a game where I was faced with a decision and I had to pause, put it in sleep mode, get dressed because wasn't wearing pants, go to Taco Bell, get some food, come back, watch some YouTube videos while eating this Taco Bell, while all the while thinking, what am I gonna do when I turn that game back on? A game's never done that to me before. Like, I know there's choices in Uncharted 4 when that comes out, but I don't think any of those choices are going to make me have to pause the game because they don't seem like they really affect the story that much. But these choices did. Now, like I said, the choices end up going to the same destination anyway. But one of them is you look into a photograph. Time travel is a thing in this game. You look into a photograph and you go back in time to when your friend Chloe's dad was still alive, and you have the option to save his life by hiding his car keys so he has to take the bus. And I say option because it seems like an option at first, but you can't advance the story until you hide the keys. So you hide the keys, he goes on the bus, it goes back to present day. You're hanging out with the cool kids, so it doesn't really acknowledge the fact that suddenly you're friends with the people that were jerks to you in the other reality, because she's just focused on the fact that you saved Chloe's dad's life. You get to Chloe's house, you knock on the door, and her dad opens the door. And you're thinking, I did it. It's sort of like in the Butterfly Effect, when Ashton Kutcher was like, I fix things, and then something else happens. Or he realizes that even though this one thing is better, all these other things are worse, or whatever. So you go to the door, he enters the door, he's like surprised to see you, so you obviously haven't been here yet. So like the 5-year gap between the times, he hasn't seen you since you left town, and when you came back, you hadn't gone to see your best friend for some reason. So already, maybe something's up. Then you say that you want to see Chloe, and my first thought was, he's going to say she's dead somehow. No, she's not dead. So he says, Chloe, you have a visitor, and out she comes in a wheelchair because she's paralyzed from the neck down. Great. I did it. I saved your dad. So that had to happen. That's part of the story. You can't make a decision to keep that from happening. Then, in talking with her when she's in like her hospital bed in her bedroom and she's hooked up to all these wires and stuff, she tells you to kill her. Your best friend tells you to kill her. And you have to choose. And no matter what you do, whether you choose to kill her or not, you end up going back and making sure that her dad does die so that doesn't happen to her and everything goes back to the way it was before. And it's weird because the very last decision of the game is actually where the story permanently diverges, I guess, because I really doubt there's going to be a sequel to this. I hope they make another game like this, because I think they did it just the writing and like the voice acting, I like it better than the Walking Dead games. I have Tales from the Borderlands. It's actually one of the games I'm going to play next, because now I'm kind of interested in these story games just because this one was so good. Like the first Walking Dead, I was like, I guess these aren't for me. And I tried like the Back to the Future one. I'm like, this isn't very good. But now this one, I'm like, I need to try other ones, because maybe just The Walking Dead wasn't that good. I know a lot of people love it. I know people are going to be mad they don't like it, but whatever. So, at the end of the game, the choice is between saving Chloe, your best friend, who most of your choices throughout the game have been saving her or helping her in some way. You either have to save her and sacrifice the city that you live in and everyone in it, or save the city, but your friend will die. Your best friend will die. And as soon as I realized this was what the choice was going to be, I decided I was going to let Chloe decide, because I knew Chloe would pick one way or another. She would say, you have to do this. And with a decision like that, it's not that I want to put the decision on someone else, but if she wants me to sacrifice her to save the city, I don't think I could live with myself or live with her if I like sacrificed all of our friends and like her family that's there, her mom and her stepdad, who she's now cool with. Like, if she says, sacrifice me to save all these people, and I said, no, you're more important than all of them, she would not despise, but resent me for that. And she talked about how her mom didn't deserve to die in a diner by getting hit by a tornado or a hurricane or whatever. She deserved better than that. Everybody in town deserved better than that. So I chose to sacrifice her. Now, full disclosure, I haven't looked up to see if I can actually sacrifice the city and save her, but I don't want to know, because this is the story that I picked, and this is the way that it happened. But even then, like, you go through like this dreamscape where you're going through all of your memories with Chloe before you choose whether or not to save her or sacrifice her. And as we're going through all this, it's like all the situations of the entire game, you're just kind of walking through a dreamscape. And I started getting emotional then, because like part of it was because there were situations that happened before I was really emotionally invested in the characters. So seeing these things under that new context where I actually cared about Chloe and Max, I was like tearing up, not as bad as I did in other situations, but I was like, they're trying to make me pick her, but I'm not going to if she doesn't want me to. And she's just like, you have to do this. So I'm just very, very impressed. Like, it's such a good game. And it's one of those things, I've heard people talk about how movies and games should try to just exist in their own bubbles and have, and people should stop trying to make games into movies and stop trying to make movies into games. Partly, obviously, because it very rarely works, and also because they don't need to be crossing over like that to like make one or the other more legitimate. Same with books. I mean, there's been some really good movies based on books, but they're always never as good as the book. And if a book is good, a movie isn't going to make it better. It's not going to affect the book. So like whenever they're going to make a movie of The Last of Us, The Last of Us is a great game. Whether the movie's good or bad, it's not going to make the game better or worse. So why do that? The reason I bring all this up is I feel like the story of Life is Strange is too good for a game. And I know that sounds crazy or like way over the top, but the story of that thing is just so much better than what a game should have. Just because games normally aren't that emotional. Like, there's characters that you can connect to, but like, I'm one of those people, I'm usually really bad with names when it comes to TV shows or video games or movies even. Like watching House of Cards, I'm like, I know Frank and Claire and Stamper. And then it's like lady who disagrees with him all the time, and lady who's mean to him and is running against him. And there's Russian president guy. And like, I'm just bad with that kind of stuff. But this game, I knew everybody. I knew Mr. Jefferson. I knew Victoria. I knew Kate. I knew Chloe. I knew Max. I knew Joyce. Joyce was Chloe's mom. I knew William was Chloe's dad. I knew his last name was Price. I remember him making the pun about something being priceless. Ha ha ha. Like, I wasn't just invested in the character that I played as. I was invested in what happened with everybody. That doesn't happen in video games. That happens in books, and it happens in movies. In games, you usually care about yourself and like your love interest or something like that. And this went way further than that. I don't know. I thought it was a great game. In retrospect, if I had played it earlier, it definitely would have been in my top games of 2015. It was just so good. Probably would have knocked off Destiny. I don't remember where Destiny was. But it's a better game than Destiny. If you can even compare games of completely different genres. So yeah, I just thought I'd do this because I didn't want to give it a massive score because I felt like that was a disservice. Which means all my other massive scores were slights against the games, I guess. I don't know. But it's spring break. I might do a couple of videos this week. But yeah, thank you guys for listening to this or watching this or however you chose to take in this type of media. And I will be in the comments if anybody wants to talk about the game or has any opinions or anything like that. And I will talk to you guys later. Goodbye.